Growing up in my early teens, there was a show called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, and my grandma, she was hooked onto it. These are the kind of visuals that were there on the show. The south of France, Nice, Marseille, the Côte d'Azur, Provence, Rolls-Royces, and that's the life I'm going to be living for the next 2 days as I'm here in France to test the Series 2 Ghost. Rolls-Royce don't do facelifts, but that's what the Series 2 is. A subtle update on the second generation Ghost introduced in 2021. The Ghost remains the most affordable way to get into the Rolls-Royce world, but the Ghost is hardly entry level. For starters, at 5.5 meters in length, this is longer than the Cullinan SUV. And if a 3.3 meter long wheelbase isn't vast enough for you, there is also the extended wheelbase Ghost that stretches the wheelbase by 170 mm and shoots the price up by 2 crore rupees to a 10.3 crore rupee starting price. For this drive, Rolls-Royce have laid out both the regular Ghost and the more sinister, slightly sportier black badge Ghost that costs an additional 1.5 crore rupees. The styling has obviously been updated, so you get these slimmer headlamps, super thin LED DRLs. Everything has been cleaned up so that the grille, the Pantheon grille, that stands out even more. And this is backlit. Now, this is the black badge, so you get lots of black chrome, less of the shiny bits, more of the black chrome. Gives it a bit of that gangster vibe. The lower half of the bumper is also reprofiled for the black badge, gives it a little bit more aggression. And the wheels have across the board gone up to 22-inch wheels, but the black badge gets a little bit more sinister looking wheels, so it has a little bit more muscle. But this is a very clean design. Rolls-Royce say that a kid should be able to draw a Rolls-Royce with just 3 pen strokes, and that's it. Simple, clean, but lots of muscle. The super slim DRLs of the new headlights wrap around the outer corners to soften the blunter rectangular look of the past. The blockier look is in keeping with the Series 2 Cullinan, while the banded design of the tail lamps takes inspiration from the electric Spectre. That's the only real change to the rear of the Ghost. New on the inside is this glass panel that stretches from pillar to pillar. Now that incorporates your digital cluster. Normally we say that we like analog diodes because it's timeless and more classy, but the fonts, the design of this is really beautiful. Trust me on this. And this can be personalized. Now I don't mean different displays and all of that, but the customer can pick the colors basis the interior color, the exterior color, and that is not changeable. So that is hard-coded when the customer specifies the car, goes through the bespoke customization program. This one's got red and blues, which is really cool. Now, this is the black badge, so you get black chrome all over. You get the carbon fiber finish instead of the wood veneers, which again looks kind of gangster. The infotainment system is the new Spirit infotainment system, which is kind of like BMW's iDrive, very intuitive to use, but you also get all these hard buttons, which is great because it's easier to use. You get proper AC controls, a proper nice volume knob. You get a similar iDrive kind of controller out here. A lot of buttons all over. These buttons on the center console, that's not for the power windows. That's to open and shut the door. So, and then to shut the door, pull this lever, and that shuts the door. You also get this clock cabinet, which has got the Spirit of Ecstasy, which is illuminated from the bottom under the clock, which is cool. You get an illuminated fascia for the passenger. Now, that is not a display. You can't see speeds. You can't watch YouTube movies over there. That's got a backlit image of celestial time-lapse photography. And of course, that's standard. If you want something specific, you can always option that through Rolls-Royce's bespoke program. The audio system has also been upgraded. Now, it's not a Burmester or a name or one of these known names. It's called Bespoke Audio, and it sounds fantastic. And of course, the party trick in all Rolls-Royces, the 18-channel Bespoke audio system has been upgraded to 1400 watts and incorporates exciter speakers in the headliner. And that remains the party trick of every Rolls-Royce. the Starlight roofliner that even has shooting stars that randomly fly across. You would have noticed that there is no sunroof. I'm sure that can be option, but this is a really cool party trick and turns this cabin into a place of real opulence and decadence. You walk into the back of the Ghost and you press a button. The suicide doors shut. You don't have to do anything as pedestrian as shutting your own door. Now, in terms of the equipment at the rear screens can be paired to different devices, so that's nice. The graphics on the screen don't seem very modern as such, but it's got plenty of functionality. What it doesn't have is sunblinds. We criticize the 5 Series for not having sunblinds. Well, the Ghost also doesn't have sunblinds, but that's also because everywhere in the world, tints are allowed. So anybody who wants privacy gets tints. Only in India do you not get tints. This is not the extended wheelbase. There is also a longer wheelbase Ghost. But despite this being the standard Ghost, there is more than enough legroom. I don't see any reason why you would actually need any more legroom. There's a new duality twill trim that is a rayon fabric made from bamboo and embossed with a design meant to echo the interlinked Rolls-Royce badge. It comprises 2.2 million stitches, 18 kilometers of thread, and takes 20 hours to complete. The possibilities for personalization are ridiculously extravagant, including a new open pore trim called Grey Stained Ash that has been enriched with metallic particles to give it a shimmering effect. There's even an upholstery look called Placed Perforation that uses 107,000 perforations in the seat to mirror the shapes of clouds over Rolls-Royce's headquarters. V12s are going out of fashion. Now, I don't mean going out of fashion with people who can actually afford V12s, but with legislation going where it is. V12s are a dying breed, and this is the last hurrah for the turbocharged V12 in the Rolls-Royce. Now, Rolls-Royce announced recently that by 2030, their entire model lineup will be full electric. And while other manufacturers have walked away from their full electrification plans, saying that they said that when market demand would catch up, Rolls-Royce, they haven't walked back. So that means by 2030, all Rolls-Royces will be electric like the Spectre that is there right now. So this twin turbocharged V12, well, enjoy it for the next 5 years while it lasts. And in the black badge, this has been amped up slightly. So here it makes 591 bhp. That's 29 bhp more than the regular Series 2 Ghost. Makes 50 Newton meters more torque. That's 900 Newton meters. So 591 bhp, 900 Newton meters of torque. 0 to 100 stays the same, 4.7 seconds. Top speed 250 kilometers per hour. But here, when you press this low button, there's nothing as vulgar as sport mode on a Rolls-Royce, but in low, you can hear the engine a little bit more. The responses are better. So the gearbox responses, when you press the throttle more than 90% of its travel, the gearbox responds 50% quicker than the non-black badge Series 2 Ghost. So it's a little bit more urgent. Of course, the suspension doesn't stiffen up and all of that. And the black badge has the same suspension setup. We'll talk about that in a bit. So ride comfort, handling, all of that remains the same. But you can hear the V12 a little bit more in the black badge. So those woofly noises, that growl of the V12, it's all present. When you're wafting along, like right now, you don't hear the engine at all. It's like super silent. It isolates you from the world outside. But I'll just open up a bit of a gap to the car in front. Just step on it. Now you can hear the engine. You can feel a bit of the gear shift. This is slightly more involving. The black badge is the, well, I wouldn't say for the rowdy owners, but this is for owners who like to drive themselves as much as being driven. There is, of course, tons of space at the back. This Rolls-Royce, well, it is to be chauffeured around in. But when you want to, this is actually the sportier Rolls-Royce to drive. Mechanically, the Series 2 is unchanged from the Mark II Ghost, retaining the architecture of luxury aluminum underpinnings with planar adaptive air suspension, double wishbones up front, and multiple links at the rear. Rear wheel steering is standard as is four-wheel drive, while the massive engine is mounted behind the front axle to achieve 50-50 weight distribution. The steering wheel, it's thin, it's very light. So when you start off, it feels a bit too light. It takes a little bit time to get used to, but once you get used to it, you're steering with your fingertips. There's this fluidity that just so nice. The rear axle gets a 12-volt active anti-roll bar, but the body floats a fair bit and there's no hiding the body roll nor the spectre of understeer in tighter corners attacked with injudicious pace. In terms of the handling, well, there is fairly noticeable body roll. This is a big car, and when you really push it hard on corners, it's always on the verge of pushing into understeer. You can feel the ESP, the all-wheel steer, the all-wheel drive, all working overtime to make sure that the nose is pointing where you want it to go. But once you load it into the corner, once the body is lean on the outside wheels, then it does hold its line quite admirably. At Evo, we obviously talk about driving fast cars at 1,000,000 miles an hour, but driving a luxury car, especially the ultimate luxury car, which a Rolls-Royce obviously is, it just is another joy altogether. The Ghost not just causes occupants but completely distances them from the outside world. The ride comfort is spectacular. Languid, long wave movements similar to but not as exaggerated as the ridiculously opulent Phantom. The ride benefits from the mass damper on the front axle, designed to further absorb suspension movement and vibrations over small undulations and bumps. And then there is the sensationally quiet cabin. The thrill of driving, and here you have the thrill of chilling. And the thrill of chilling is also something that I highly, highly recommend. And that's what a twin turbocharged V12 does. Just builds up speed effortlessly. I can't tell you what speed I'm doing but it's just effortless. Hit longer, faster and wide open corners, and the Ghost exhibits neutral balance bordering on a whiff of understeer. The transmission reads GPS data to always know what gear to engage depending on the curvature of the corner, and that interfaces with the flag bearer system that scans the road surface to optimize the damping of the air suspension to keep things as smooth as possible. And finally, prices. The Series 2 Ghost starts at 8.85 crore rupees. The extended wheelbase, more rear space, that is 10.3 crore rupees. Now that's the starting price, and on average, customers specify at least 10% of the cost of the car in addition in terms of customization and bespoke personalization on the car. The black badge is 1.5 crore rupees more than the starting price of the Ghost, and that is the cost of luxury.